So dispersion is happening because of the broadening of the pulses as they used to travel longer distance through the optical fiber. So you can measure with reference to the length of the fiber or with respect to the time elapsed, since how long it is propagating through the optical fiber. So we have seen in the last class how the pulses are going to widen or broaden as the length it is going to propagate more and more. It is happening because of the intersymbol interference. That is one phenomena. If you look at this one, this figure, for example, suppose if you consider a non-returning 0 bit coding, NRZ bit coding, where you are actually would like to transmit 1011 bit pattern. So you want to transmit this. One is represented by this pulse of a particular width and amplitude, and 0 is represented by nothing. So this one bit stream, 1011, you are transmitting. Assume that this is in the first row at time t1. In the second row, after some time has elapsed at time t2, that is greater than t1. That's what the similar discussion we have made yesterday, similar to that. You can see the last two pulses are little bit overlapping. Still, we can distinguish one and one last two one and one bits, but still, but they are overlapping here. Means this amount of hashed portion of information we are losing. Again, with some more time elapse, that is a T3. So you can see altogether more bits are start overlapping here. This is known as more number of hashed portions now we are observing. That is known as a intersymbol interference. This is going to add a significant error in the information. That is 1011. And moreover, you can see this portion, the dotted line, it is indicating indistinguishable pulses. And here you can see there is a non-zero level. So here he has quoted this one. The first row he has taken took the length L1, sorry, second row, and third row took the length L2. Whatever the length they passed, these pulses have passed or crossed after time T2 and T3. In time T2, it has crossed the length L1 of the fiber, and time T3, it has crossed length L2 of the fiber, where L2 is more than L1, obviously. So as the more length it is going to cross, so we can see more this hashed portions will coming into picture and resulting into the intersymbol interference. So this is what we are discussing in another way about the pulse spreading phenomena. And this ISI is going to add an error with this bit stream 1011. Let us look at that one in the quantitative discussion. Error rate, you can see here, is a function of the signal attenuation at the transmitter side and corresponding SNR at the receiver side. So this error rate, what we are talking because of the ISI, this is happening from the instant of transmitter to the receiver. So we have to consider two factors here. So what is happening at the instant, that is at the transmitter side, at the instant when you're going to couple the power to the transmitting power to the optical fiber. And similarly, what is the SNR ratio that you are going to get at the receiver? Means how much amount of transmitted power you are capable to reconstruct it back. That is decided by the SNR measure. So in that light, we'll have two separate cases here. First, assuming that no overlapping is happening, no overlapping of light pulses at the optical link, and it is indicated by the bit rate is indicated by BT, that is less than or equal to, not more than, reciprocal of the pulse duration, that is 2 tau. Tau is the pulse duration. We'll take normally 2 tau. So this equation gives a conservative estimate of maximum bit rate. So these words are very significant here. So this is a conservative measure of the maximum bit rate. So maximum bit rate when you will get, obviously when we don't have any error, no overlapping. So that's what he is telling. This is maximum estimate of the bit rate, but it is conservative. Conservative means we are assuming here that no overlapping is happening, but practically that is not the case. And this could be obtained in the optical link as a 1 by 2 too. So another case, suppose if we consider the overlapping is happening or dispersion is happening. So another more accurate estimate of maximum bit rate for the optical channel with the dispersion, that is by considering the light pulses at the output have Gaussian shape with RMS width of sigma. So this is the formula we are getting with the dispersion for BT, and that is the BT. Actually the ideal BT max we got it as 1 by 2 too, but this one we are getting BT max by considering the overlapping, that is a dispersion, assuming the output shape of these light pulses what we are getting will be having or resembling the Gaussian shape at the receiver side with the RMS width of sigma, the width of each pulse, that is a sigma. So we'll get it at 0.2 by sigma bits per second. So these are acting like formulas and you have to remember them directly or you can directly by it, which are quite useful in solving the numericals and further derivations. So not required how we are getting that, we are not going to deal here, not in the scope of the study, present study. So you understood up to now what we discussed. Still we have to go long distance, long things to cover here today. So I will go on reminding you here. So two things we have discussed right now. We have discussed dispersion in terms of the ISI, intersymbol interference. And we took up the measure, that is a maximum bit rate when no overlapping is happening and when overlapping is happening. We got respectively two formulas here. So this is ISI, what you are saying. So now to convert this bit rate to bandwidth, that is in terms of hertz, it depends on the coding format, whether you are using NRZ or RZ coding like that. So in the present case, for example, this one, 1011, this one that we are transmitting. So this is how we are going to represent one represented by a rectangular pulse of width tau, that is a pulse width, and 0 with no pulse, square or rectangular pulse, and 1 again the same pulse of width tau. So this is NRZ pattern, and you can see when one wavelength we got 2 bits. So two important observations you have to make here in NRZ schematic. 2 bits are happening in one wavelength. That's why the bandwidth is reduced to half of the data rate. Bit rate is half of the data rate. And you can see the pulse width for one bit is going to be maintained for the whole duration of tau. That is NRZ. Whereas in RZ, one is maintained only for the half of the width, that is tau. This is RZ pattern. First one is NRZ pattern. Are you understanding here? One is maintained for the full duration of tau in NRZ, whereas it has been reduced to half in case of RZ, return to 0. So therefore, the maximum bandwidth B is one of the maximum data rate. That's what I'm telling, because of the presence of 2 bits in case of NRZ I'm talking. So the data rate is equal to the bandwidth in terms of hertz, and BT equal to B in case of the return to 0, because there is a presence of only 1 bit. If 2 bits are present, bandwidth is reduced to half of the data rate in case of NRZ. In case of RZ, there is a presence of only 1 bit, that is a 1 for the whole duration 2. Hence, bandwidth BT is equal to the B, that is 1 bit per second or hertz. Okay, you are understanding the main difference between. So just we are taking the example of 2-bit patterns here, coding schemes, NRZ and RZ schemes, for the explanation of how to convert the bit rate to the bandwidth in terms of the hertz. Okay, we discussed the dispersion so far in terms of ISI, and by considering the dispersion, without considering the dispersion, we got the bit rate measure as 1 by 2 to, and with considering the dispersion, we got the bit rate, that is maximum bit rate, BT max equal to less than or equal to 0.2 by, so how much it is? So 0.2 by sigma, that is the width of the RMS width of the pulse that we are getting at the receiver side, bits per second. And after that, once we got this bit rate measure, we need to convert it into bandwidth, that is in terms of the hertz, that we can do by considering or adopting any of the digital coding formats like NRZ or RZ that we have discussed. For that purpose, we are considering the coding techniques here, NRZ and RZ coding techniques. So based on the how many bits are present in one wavelength, we are getting the BT to be converted or giving you the full bandwidth or maybe the half of the bandwidth, full data rate or half of the data rate. That is bit rate conversion to the data rate conversion. So this all about the dispersion. Brief look what we wanted to see it to a little bit in detail. Yesterday, what we have seen, the dispersion, the very rough discussion we have made, rough definition. Same thing now discussed with respect to ISI and the how to convert it to bandwidth. Now we will continue our journey by looking into to the discussion of dispersion to different modes of the fiber. So these figures will simplify the explanation, and I want you to practice them. Now we'll be discussing this dispersion phenomena in three respective cases. Multi-mode step index fiber, the first case. Second one, multi-mode, uh, this one is a mistake there. There is a graded index fiber. So both it is written step index only. Multi-mode, this is first one is, can see here if it is visible to you. This is multi-mode step index. Okay, it is because sudden rise in the index. This is of course the Gaussian shape variation of the refractive index. That's a multi-mode graded index, and this is obviously single mode step index. Accordingly, we have the optical fiber diagram here. The first one, it will indicate refractive index profile for the multi-mode step index fiber. Okay. So it is the optical fiber having the core at the center, surrounded by the cladding, and at the core cladding interface, there is sudden variation in the refractive index. That is indicated by the refractive index profile plotting n of r versus r like this. A step index fiber, which is supporting multiple modes. And this is one pulse, the third one. This is one single pulse having some width, particular width that we actually wanted to transmit. That is input pulse. So when it is traveling inside the optical fiber, it is going to have this meridional path. Sorry. So this is achieving the meridional path when it is propagating inside the multimode step index fiber. And with the distance it is traveling or the time elapsed, the pulse is very much broadened. So pulse spreading is more in case of multimode step index fiber. So ultimately, the RMS width, that is sigma, what you are getting for the pulses that you are going to receive or recover, reconstruct at the receiver side is very large. That is zero point 0.2 divided by sigma, it is there, no, BT max. If denominator is going to be larger, you will be getting the BT max, the bit rate is very much reduced once you are trying to reconstruct the signal at the receiver side. As far as the multimode step index fiber is concerned. Somebody, Dhanasri, mute yourself. Yes, thank you. So this all about multimode stump index fiber. We are looking that we are getting more pulse spreading and more bit rate will be lost by the time we'll reach the receiver. When you go to multimode step index, sorry, graded index fiber, that is heading is correction. You can just note it down. Again, the same pulse with the particular width and amplitude we want to transmit. But here you can see the pulses are going to take cup-shaped path while they are propagating through the optical fiber. So this kind of path is achieved and why it is achieved we have already discussed in detail in the model 1. Okay. So this is happening in the multi-mode index fibers, maybe step or graded index fibers, normally graded index fiber because of the Bessel functions. And each mode is achieving a different propagation path because of their different incident angles or different incident times at the mouth of the core. And you can see here the RMS with the sigma of the pulse that what you are going to get at the receiver side after reconstruction is little bit improved compared to this one. That is compared to what? Compared to multimode step index fiber. Multimode graded index is going to improve the RMS pulse width of the pulse what you are going to reconstruct at the receiver side, which is very much improved compared to that in the multimode step index fiber. So reasons are many here. One main reason we can quote here is the graded index, gradual variation in the index of the index profile of the core, and the part what they are going to achieve because of this, you can see the cup shape. So these two are the main factors or reasons we can quote here, which are contributing for the improvement on the width. Width is not happening much. Okay. So that's what we are calling improvement. Improvement doesn't mean that widening. We don't want widening. We want less widening. So less widening is happening because of these two factors here in case of multimode graded index fiber compared to multimode step index fiber. This is the key factor. Okay. So coming to this one single mode step index, which is supporting single mode only, axial rays traveling, and you can see the pulse spreading is totally exempted. That is very much advantageous compared to multimode fibers. Single mode fibers are much advantageous too because they are providing almost zero spreading. Okay, now coming to this one here. So single mode fibers gives minimum pulse broadening and capable of giving you the large transmission bandwidth. That is in terms of gigahertz, very much advantageous. Whereas multimode index fibers limited by the bandwidths in terms of megahertz. Okay, try to understand or differentiate here. Multi-mode index fiber doesn't mean that it is supporting large bandwidth. Because of the involvement of multiple modes, the bandwidth is shared there compared to single mode. That's why it is supporting less bandwidth, that is in terms of megahertz compared to the gigahertz in case of the single mode. So this is the quite difference what you are observing with the bare eyes or bare discussion between the single and multiple mode fibers. But doesn't mean that this amount of the pulse broadening depends on these multi-mode or single mode fibers. It actually depends on the distance, how much distance the pulse has to travel. It's something like if you throw this stone on the calm surface of the water, initially you will be getting more strength peak waves, and later with the as they travel more distance, their peak will go on decreasing and their width will go on increasing. Getting the idea? The same thing is happening here. So actually, the pulse broadening doesn't depend on these single or multiple mode, multi-mode fibers you are operating, but instead actually depends on the distance that the pulses are traveling in the fiber. Yes, Dhanasri, it's the last warning. Otherwise, I will remove from the discussion. So this is the key point. Uh, I actually wanted to quote here. So the pulse broadening, keep in mind, we are just discussing with respect to the single mode and multi-mode fibers. It doesn't mean that it depends on the actually depends on the distance the pulses are traveling in the fiber. So to the measure of this dispersive properties of the particular fiber stated as a pulse broadening in time over unit length, the fiber. It is a pulse broadening in time for the distance of what it is going to cover. That is nanosecond per kilometer, for example. Yes, in the nutshell, before we look into the numerical here, let us recap what we just did here. That is essential. So remember, so the main issue or the concept that is responsible for the dispersion is the pulse broadening that we are not yet discussing. We need to discuss it after this one. Okay. We just discussed today the dispersion in terms of the ISI, how it is contributing for the error by conjuring NRZ and RZ coding schemes and converting bit rate to the data rate, whether it is supporting the full data rate or half the data rate, depending on coding schemes. Later, we go on discussing the dispersion with respect to the multi-mode step index, multi-mode graded index, and single mode step index fibers within the scope of our present study. So those diagrams I suggest you to practice. That is very much important. And one we concluded at the end of the discussion of dispersion, what we want to conclude? Concluding is nothing but what is the key point you understood at the end of the discussion. That is nothing but main observations made or main decisions made, that what you're listing that is coming under conclusion. So the concluding remark is only one. The pulse spreading or dispersion doesn't depend on the types of the fibers, but instead depends on the how much distance the pulses are going to travel inside the optical fibers. But later, instead, the secondary reasons could be how the index profile will be there for the particular types of the optical fiber. That is going to matter the secondary reason contributions. Primary reason will be this one, the how much distance it is going to travel. So let us consider nowadays going to be we are more confident in considering the numerical than yesterday. That's why I stopped there considering the numerical study. Now we are able to more confident in considering the numerical with respect to dispersion. So this is one numerical just kept since a long time. I hope you have read this one. A multi-mode graded index fiber. If you get these set of words, you get in mind that multi-mode graded index fiber means pulse spreading is little bit improved compared to step index, multi-mode step index, that you have to get in mind. And second thing, the core index profile is gradually varying, like in the Gaussian shape. So with by considering the such kind of the fiber, what is telling? It is showing you the total pulse broadening of 0.1 microsecond over the distance of 15 kilometer. Just now we quoted no. How we can measure the pulse broadening respect to distance, that is a nanosecond per kilometer. Like that, here we have to, he may ask you to find out such kind of measures. What he has given now, the pulse broadening he has given, that is measured in terms of the time, that is a microsecond, zero point 0.1 microsecond, and how much distance it has covered, 15 kilometers. Now what is asking the first bit A, the maximum possible bandwidth on the link, assuming no ISI, no overlapping. With no overlapping, what is the maximum possible bandwidth you are getting? BT 1 by 2 2. So width is how much? Pulse broadening width 0.1 microsecond. So 1 by 2 2 means 1 by 2.2 microsecond. So this one is the maximum bit rate you are getting with no ISI, no overlapping. Second one, the pulse dispersion per unit length. Pulse dispersion per unit length is given by this. That he has given pulse duration 0.1 microsecond. Pulse duration, what is it mean? Pulse duration, sorry, pulse dispersion per unit length. Means you have to divide the dispersion, how much dispersion it is happening, pulse dispersion, 0.1 microsecond for every 1 kilometer. Per unit length means for every 1 kilometer. So divide this by whole length, that is 15 kilometer. We'll get it as 6.67 nanosecond per kilometer. Means for every 1 kilometer, there is a dispersion in material of 6.67 nanosecond. This is what is the meaning of this dispersion per unit length. See the bandwidth length product. So the optimal or maximum bandwidth what we got, it is 5 megahertz. As the name suggests, bandwidth length product means bandwidth multiplied by the distance 15 kilometer. We get the bandwidth length product. We get 75 megahertz kilometer. So firstly, by multiplying maximum bandwidth of the fiber link by its length, we are getting this. This is one way of getting bandwidth length product. Another way, from the dispersion per unit length, that is 1 by 2 times the dispersion, what you got, dispersion per unit length. Again, we will get the same answer. So, but the both interpretation or alternative formulas you should remember. So here, two ways it has been shown how to calculate the bandwidth length product. This is a very important parameter. So many times I got such kind of a problem in the VTU. This is one of the problem appeared many times in the VTU exam. Depending on the data, because I have shown two ways here how to calculate the BL, bandwidth length product. Depending on the data, you have to use the formula, but you should remember the both. So this is all about the dispersion, that what we have discussed today. So next, about the pulse spreading in the material dispersion. So that we can discuss, because today I'm going to schedule one quiz based on what I have covered up to the dispersion, because already I scheduled one quiz there. So after that and up to this one, I'm going to let us stop. Pulse spreading and remaining aspects. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's stop now.